Welcome to Reptipod Podcast, where we discuss keeping styles, news, and uncommon species. Your hosts for Reptipod Podcast are Kyle from B20 Exotics
and Bryce from Prime Exotics,
bringing you awesome content about exotics. Welcome back to Reptipod, episode 7. Today we have an amazing guest on, all the way from Australia. Today is Ava. And Ava, can you tell me about yourself?
I'm Ava. I'm from JurassicWildlife, where we specialize in exotic Antaresia morphs.
That's amazing. One thing, this isn't even really animal related, but one thing I've noticed, I've actually been following you for a couple months.
Oh, okay.
I follow a lot of people, but you gained followers so fast.
Yes.
I mean, I text you about it. That is crazy.
I did.
I'm like trying to do that.
I started making content, I don't even remember, maybe 2016. And I made content for like 5 years, but I would only post when I had something. So I didn't post very often. I had like 800 followers by the end of the 5 years. And then in August 2022, I started posting consistently, daily. I was trying to make things entertaining while still educating. And I think I'm at 13.2 thousand in like 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy.
That's so awesome. Yeah, congratulations. That's insane. Kyle, we're doing something wrong.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I tried posting a lot of content daily, and it just wasn't happening.
It is annoying, though, because, I mean, I've been sick just the past week, so I haven't been posting. I think I missed one day of posting. I've just been kind of recycling old drafts, and it's like my engagement's gone down, my follower count daily has gone down, even just by a little bit, and it takes like 2 weeks to get it back to normal, because I usually get about 50 followers a day when I'm consistent. If I'm really high, then I get about 100 a day, but that doesn't last very long. It only lasts maybe a month.
That's awesome.
See, I tried doing the whole daily content thing. It's just exhausting. It really is. Like, to produce any kind of quality content is just, it's a full-time job.
Yeah, definitely. Really. I mean, every morning I go out to kind of my snake room, and I try to make like 5 reels and then do my snake stuff, and then that's it.
With that being said, what species do you keep?
I keep only Antaresia species. So species in that genus consist of the spotted pythons, the pygmy pythons, the Stimson's pythons, and the children's pythons. I don't currently keep any pygmies. I only keep the stimmies, the children's, and the spotteds. And yeah, I'm gonna get a pair of pygmy hatchies soon. I think there's gonna be this year or next year, and then I can start working with that species. I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And I seen that you went to started selling at your first reptile show. Is that what that was?
Yeah, I vended at for the first time at the Brisbane Reptile Expo 2024, and it was awesome. I released my fake plant product line there, and we partnered with Gypsy, and I started selling their substrate because I use that substrate, and it's great. And yeah, we're gonna have a lot more products from the JurassicWildlife product line, but they're not ready yet. So
that's really cool. Gonna need to pick up some.
That's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, I started using the artificial plants from my line before they even came out because I liked them, and I didn't have like the bulk ready yet to sell for customers. And I mean, we completely sold out at the expo. So I was planning to have some left over, put it for sale on the website, but I have to now order another full bulk shipment because it was all sold out at the expo.
Well, congratulations on that. That's amazing. That's like...
It was awesome. I mean, just one girl, she bought 10 plants. So that was like...
Wow.
And then there was a couple other people like that. So they sold out pretty quickly.
That's amazing.
So how are the expos in Australia then?
I've only been to a couple. I went to RepX. I don't even remember what year it was. That one was awesome. And then I was quite young then, but I don't really remember it. And then there was the Brisbane Reptile Expo this year, and then the Brisbane Reptile Expo last year, which was held by the same girl, Elizabeth, from Shinko's Critters, I think that's how you say it. And, I mean, I love them. They're awesome. You get a lot of good breeders come, like Mighty Morphin Aussie Reptiles, Snake Sanctum, those kind of breeders. but I feel like there definitely could be more. Like when I was at the expo, I kind of only really saw. Well, I'm only an Antaresia girl, so I don't really look at the rest of them. But I didn't really see many morphs. I saw a lot of hets, some marbles, maybe some T pluses, but a lot of there wasn't a lot of variety that I know that these breeders have. So it was good, but I think it definitely could be better.
So for here in Florida, at least I can speak of, most reptile shows you go to, it's like only ball pythons. Is it like the same thing there?
Well, I actually think it's quite a good variety. Like, there's the Antaresia, you got the blue tongues, you got bearded dragons. There was some black-headeds. Snake Sanctum had a green tree python and an emerald tree monitor on display, which was awesome. So yeah, you get quite a bit of variety. I don't think there's too much of one thing and not enough of the other.
That's cool.
And I think that's something I'm starting to see a lot in the like expos in the US. Because I've traveled not too much on the East Coast, but all the West Coast I've done a lot of expos at. And I know maybe like 5 years ago, all you could find are ball pythons at expos. It was basically just a ball python expo. But lately, it seems like I've been going to expos, and it's maybe like 20% ball pythons, 30 at most sometimes, and it's actually getting a nice variety in the expos.
Okay,
now.
well that's good.
So I know that's some change that I've seen, at least in the expos around here.
And what's like the audience? Are we talking hundreds? Are we talking?
Well, last year I went as just like a customer, and it was hard to move. There was a lot of people, but we also had, I think we only got one football court, and like we left early because I couldn't see anything. There was just too many people. You couldn't see the stalls. But this year, I guess as a vendor, it's from a different perspective. Like I had a lot of people that I know I didn't get to talk to because there was too many people around my stall. It was too busy. But I felt like we also did have a bigger space. But I did feel like this year was not as many people as last year. Even though apparently we sold more tickets, it felt like there was less people. I guess because I'm a vendor, so I don't really have to sneak through to see the snakes, and I'm kind of we had a bigger area, so I guess it wouldn't seem as packed, but apparently we did sell more tickets. So it was in the hundreds. I'm not quite sure how many we did. But day 2 is definitely a lot slower. It's still quite busy, to be honest, but day 2 is definitely slower. Day 1 is like the busiest time, and when I sold out all my plants.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So when you go into the reptile room and you look at all the snakes, are they set up generally the same between all the species you have?
Well, I keep all mine in enclosures, so they all have the same enclosures. All the hatchlings have the same enclosures, but kind of the decorations inside are completely different. I mean, I spend hours when I deep clean just rearranging them to make them look unique and to fit their own personalities. Because I have some snakes that like to burrow, I have some snakes that like to climb more than others, I have some that like more hiding opportunities. So they're all kind of different. So I kind of tailor the enclosure to their individual personalities. Like Hinoki, my chimera, for example, he loves climbing. So I give him as much wood pieces, as much climbing opportunities as I can possibly. Whereas Pepper, he's another spotted python. He just loves hiding. So I give him like 4 hides instead of the usual 2 because he loves just finding tight nooks and crannies to hide in. He's not really a big climber. So they all have kind of the general same setup, like Gypsy, same size enclosure, water ball, minimum 2 hides, minimum a couple climbing objects, and some fake plants. But when it comes to like decorating, they're all kind of unique in their own way.
That's awesome. I love to see people using enclosures, definitely for hatchlings compared to just using snake racks all the time for hatchlings and everything.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome.
And so are all your enclosures PVC or are they all glass?
Currently all my enclosures are glass. I use Reptile 1 enclosures, but I mean, it doesn't save a lot of space because I have to put them on a rack, and then there needs to be a certain amount of room to allow ventilation. So it's a bit of a pain. I'm going to be making new enclosures that I'm not quite sure the material yet, but they're going to be a lot more space effective, but they're also going to be bigger. So I'm going to be making my enclosures a little bit longer, probably the same height and the same width, but I'm going to be making them a little bit longer so that the snakes have more room to stretch out. But they're going to be a little bit more space effective. But at the moment, I currently just use glass. And for my hatchies, they're just plastic.
Did you say that you were making custom ones?
Yeah, I'm going to be designing custom ones. I got a friend in he's an engineer, and I got a lot of ideas. So I'm going to be making custom adult enclosures, custom hatchling ones, and they're going to be kind of in a bay setting. So, for example, you'd have two enclosures as one bay, and then you just stack them on top of each other to get as many enclosures as you like. So I'm going to be using that for myself, and then maybe in the future I could sell just those kind of bays. So if somebody just has 2 snakes, they can just buy a bay. They don't have to buy this whole 20 snake rack enclosure thing.
Yeah, it's really smart. Are you planning on opening like a storefront one day, or is this going to be all online?
Oh, that would be very far in the future. I would love to do that. I'd love to. I mean, I'm thinking about buying a warehouse for my snake breeding at the moment, because I just have them in kind of a purpose-built kind of shed in my backyard. It's a pretty shed. It's not like a shitty tin shed, but I need a bigger space. I'm running out of room for all my incubators and my snakes. So yeah, I would love to do that in the future, but it would be a little while away.
Yeah.
I feel like that's every reptile keeper's problem, is always space.
Oh,
yeah.
Never have enough.
Definitely agree.
Definitely, and it's a lot harder when you keep in all enclosures.
Mm-hmm. That's why people switch to racks.
Oh, yeah.
Fit more, but...
Yeah.
No racks.
Yeah, I don't agree with the racks. I mean, if you don't have the space to keep that many snakes, just don't keep that many snakes. If you can't house them all properly, don't house them at all.
I agree. Do you have a favorite morph to work with?
Oh my god. No, I can't. I love it.
What are some of your top favorites that you work with right now?
Okay, well, I have 2 really exciting projects. I have a Paradox albino spotted python project. I think there is 1 Paradox albino spotted python alive currently. Wow. And my very first clutch I ever produced, actually, I got 2 Paradox albino spotted pythons, and they were twins. And unfortunately, they both passed away. I mean, the morph in itself is probably very weak. They were like 3 grams, and I also had a really bad incubator malfunction, which was horrible. But I'm hoping to reproduce some more clutches from that same pairing, so that should be exciting. That's a project of mine to create more Paradox albino spotteds. And then I also have a Chimera children's python, and he is pairing to 3 females. So that should be, I think that's my other most exciting pairing I have at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about the loss, but I mean, seems like you got exciting stuff to come to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely.
So how is the reptile hobby in Australia?
I'd say it's bigger than you think. I mean, when I first got into it, my family and friends were like, really? Snakes? Who's gonna buy that? But once you kind of get into the community and you look on websites like Reptile Classifieds, there's quite a lot of people that are interested. I mean, just the amount of people that came to the expo. They're either kind of first-time pet owners and they really want a snake, or they have like 10 snakes, but they have no plan to breed and they just want more, or they're breeders and they're looking for new cool morphs, right? So I'd say it's pretty big, and I wouldn't say it's too bad. It's a good community.
That's awesome. Do you live in a good spot for herping?
Well, I think I do. I mean, I live in the bush, so we live on an acre property, and I mean, my entire backyard is just forest. And I can go for like a 2.5 hour walk, and still no houses nearby. So I think I do, but I don't see many reptiles. I mean, I used to go herping a little bit, and I just kind of gave up because I can't find anything. Like, I think I've seen 2 carpet pythons here, and they were both when I was not herping. One was in the laundry of all places, like outside on the rock wall, and one was just like next to our sliding door. And I only found it because my cat was meowing at the glass door. And I'm like, what are you meowing at? And I went to check, and there was a carpet python. I've seen maybe a couple beardies, but that was before we even built our house. That was when it was just a construction site and they were basking on like the metal. But no, I don't really see much around here, unfortunately. I see a lot of praying mantises. I don't know why.
That's Australia's one of our trips after Costa Rica. Right, Kyle?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so it's going to be in the next like 10 years or so.
Not soon. After we go to Costa Rica 4 times.
At least. Well, I mean, realistically, I think we're going to do Africa first.
That's first?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Before Australia. Not before
that
Costa Rica.
Has to be more expensive
before Australia.
than Australia.
You think?
I mean, I bet.
Okay, but you went to like 10 countries there. That's a very different story.
Yeah.
I think if you go to the right spot, it can be good. I haven't really gone herping outside my backyard. I definitely want to. I love herping. I want to practice some IDing. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good place to herp as long as you go to the right spots.
Yeah, that's pretty much everywhere. Same with Florida. Everyone just comes to Florida to go herp. But like part where I live, there's nothing over here but gators and water moccasins.
Yeah.
So, Ava, if there was no laws preventing you from keeping any reptiles, what species would you keep?
That's a hard one. Hognoses, 100%. I love
those
them.
Are banned?
Yeah, all non-native species.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Australia has all non-native species banned.
Unfortunately.
That's crazy.
So I definitely keep hognoses. I love them. Black-tailed crebos are another one of my favorites. They look amazing. If I were to ever keep venomous, I'd keep bush vipers, eyelash vipers, but yeah, there's not many because I'm not really into a lot of the non-native species because I'll just make myself sad because I can't keep them. I mean, when I first started getting into snakes, I did so much research on a ball python. That's what I wanted because I started getting into snakes from watching a YouTube channel about ball python breeding, and I'm like, oh my god, I love that species. And I wanted a pied ball python. They were my favorite. And then when I realized I couldn't have them, I was devastated. But I don't really think I'd get a ball python. Actually, I feel like they're too overbred. They're too common. I want something a bit more unique. I mean, I say that, and then I say hognose snakes. So, but they're just. I love them. They're so derpy looking.
Yeah, I almost got one the other week. I canceled that, by the way, Kyle. I did not get him. But I almost got an Eastern.
That's a very different kind of hognose.
That's a different kind of hognose?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. But yeah, no, the ball pythons.
Most people are getting Western hognoses.
That's true.
The Eastern ones are.
Yeah, the Eastern ones are awesome.
Struggle.
They're really dark. They're gorgeous.
Kyle, were you about to say awful?
Not, I mean, they're horrible eaters, from what I hear.
Yeah,
but they're pretty, so it makes up for it.
And I like my snakes that can eat.
I agree.
Oh yeah, it's a pain getting Antaresia babies to eat.
Oh, I bet. I don't even want to.
Yep, that right there will tell me never to eat them.
Once you learn a couple tricks here and there, it gets easier. But yeah, they are a pain.
Yeah, and then what you were saying about ball pythons, I definitely agree. They're just so overbred. I mean, there's like hundreds of morphs now, and I mean, you can buy normals as cheap as like $30 here, probably, depending on where you go.
Wow.
I've seen them as low as $5 here for people just trying to get rid of them.
No animal should be $5.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and that is exactly what turned me away from ball pythons.
I mean, you can buy a stick insect for $30. A snake for $5? What?
I mean, I see them all the time. I mean, first thing, we get them as rescues at our sanctuary all the time. But then also just on Craigslist, people are always giving them away for free, just not wanting them anymore. That's one reason why I got out of ball python breeding. I started ball python breeding, if you remember that, Kyle. I used to have a lot of ball pythons. And I got them locked up and then sold them when they were locked up because I was like, I'm not doing this. There's just no purpose.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, I had ball pythons too at one point.
When you had all the
yeah.
No, thank you.
I think maybe the reason why there's so many just for sale and rescues is because they're the market's so oversaturated with them that people just think that they can get one and they don't really think about the commitment. I mean, when a snake is $5, there's no real thought process that goes through that. It's just like, oh, I want a snake, I'm gonna get it. It's $5. Whether if it's like $300, you're gonna think about it more. So I feel like maybe if they just buy it and then they realize they don't know how to take care of it, it's too much work, it's gotten too big, then they just have to get rid of it and it becomes a rescue.
Yeah. Or instead of a rescue, they just let it go.
Oh, yeah, that's
great. I mean, we don't have invasive ball pythons here, but I would not be surprised if we do eventually. But same thing with the berms all down here and everything.
I mean, I think we have I don't know if they're fully like living here properly yet, but there's been a couple sightings of corn snakes here from people keeping them illegally and then letting them go. I think they're around Sydney. There's been a couple sightings. So, yeah, I mean, this is probably not the best climate for them to live in, and they're so small, they're harmless, but I mean, you don't want invasive species anywhere.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, in Everglades, the Burmese pythons, they've ate like what, 80% of the animals there are wildlife. I don't even know what the number is, but it's insane.
See, a lot of the Burmese python issue isn't even really because people are getting them and letting them go.
Yeah.
A lot of that started with that hurricane.
The breeding facility that got knocked over.
Yeah.
That too. But I mean, we have like almost everything in Florida is invasive. Like we have red-tailed boas, berms, probably a lot more. I can't think of anything right now, but we have so many invasive.
Florida's just got that. Huh? Florida's just got that perfect environment.
Oh, yeah.
For so many species.
Yeah, down south because it doesn't get cold down there. So it's perfect for everything.
It doesn't get too hot like Arizona does.
But you got all your sulcata tortoises over there, right?
Yeah, that's our thing. You guys might have the Burmese pythons, but we got sulcata tortoises. They're more common to find than the native desert tortoises.
I wish we had tortoises here in Australia.
Aren't they like dirt cheap over there in Arizona too?
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. They're a few hundred.
Which is crazy. These tortoises last 100 years easily. They're the third largest species.
Yeah.
And you can buy them on the corner of a street for $5.
That's insane. Yeah, there are a few.
And it's like, that's not a good idea. That's great. There's a lot of houses too. And like, I've been shopping for houses a lot lately. There's a lot of houses that even come with a sulcata that are that's just there.
The house comes with a sulcata tortoise.
Yep, it lives there. That is what you're agreeing to when you purchase the house.
That's crazy.
Oh God.
Have you heard about the gopher tortoises down here? Like how much it costs?
I think I heard a little bit.
So to get them removed, it's like a couple thousand to get them removed. And when you buy property, you can't, like, it will say on there, oh, gopher tortoise property or whatever, and you have to pay to remove them. I mean, or you can just do it yourself, but I mean, you'll get in big trouble by FWC. But it's insane.
Yeah, it's it's crazy here. With the sulcatas, at least, there's not really many other species that are invasive in Arizona. At least not like central Arizona. Mostly just because it gets too hot for most species. Like sulcatas from Africa are the only species that could really become invasive here like that. But
Ava, do you have any species that you're looking forward to working with?
Other than Antaresia?
Yeah.
I would love to get a black-headed python and an emerald tree monitor. Those are probably my two species that I'd love to keep. I wouldn't breed them, I don't think. I think they'd just kind of be display animals. I'd love to put them in like a big outdoor enclosure, but yeah, I'm not really interested in a lot of other species. I mean, I can definitely appreciate them. I used to have a carpet python, but I mean, the Morelia are just aren't my thing. But yeah, I would definitely like those two species just as kind of a display animal to mix things up a little bit. But that would be in the future. I mean, I'd have to have the space in the room to build a whole outdoor enclosure and be able to care for them.
Yeah, emerald tree monitors, that's definitely something on my list as well. Ever since I got my peach throat, they're just so awesome. And
yeah, they're gorgeous.
They're beautiful. Do you know the blue ones? I don't know what they're called.
Yes.
They're so expensive. I don't know. Those things are amazing as well. I want to get one of those.
How much are the emeralds? I know they're in the thousands. I'm not quite sure the exact number though.
Here I have no idea either, but I'm looking it up. Kyle, do you know?
Sure, I know they were super expensive last time I looked at it, like well over $2,000.
Yeah.
That was a couple of years ago, a few years ago.
The peach throw, they're pretty cheap and they're amazing.
How much is your peach throw?
Bryce just needs.
He was 400. Oh yeah, this green, this emerald tree monitor. Oh, it's a pair. It's a wild caught pair for $5,000.
Oh my god. Yeah, I just found a proven breeding female emerald tree monitor on Reptile Classifieds for $9,000.
That's insane.
Holy crap. What's your most expensive snake in your collection?
Ooh, Kyle, you go first.
Well,
I think we both have the same answer.
No, mine's not.
What? It's not? What's more than the falsie?
That's my pearl Honduran milk snake.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah, that's probably my most expensive.
And how much was she?
Not too much more expensive than the falsie was.
Yeah, how much?
I think I spent $400 on the falsie.
Cheaper than me.
And I spent $500 on the pearl.
Oh wow, cool.
I spent $500 on my falsie, so
my falsie was also cheaper because I bought him as a pair with the friend that has the female.
Oh.
Snake keeper math. If you buy 2 snakes from the same breeder and you get $150 discount, you just paid $150.
I look at it the same way. You're losing money if you didn't buy it.
Exactly. I made $150 from buying another snake.
That's how I look at it too.
That's what happens.
What's the most expensive snake?
I keep doing that, but I feel like I should be rich by now with that logic.
Seriously.
It's just not working.
I feel like I keep losing it instead of gaining it. It's weird.
Yeah, doesn't really make sense.
What's the most expensive snake out of my collection? Oh, I got a couple that are in the thousands. Oh, I think it would be Hinoki. He's my chimera. I got him for about $7,000. He was
$7,000.
Yeah. I got him actually. Speaking of snake keeper math, I got him for $6,300 because I got 2 females with him. So
that is
a good discount.
You saved money.
Yeah, I guess so.
You basically made money.
He wasn't planning on selling it in the first place because he was like a particularly nice one that he wanted to keep. And I'm like, come on, how much? Everything's got a price. And he's like, well, I turned down offers of $6,000. And I'm like, what about 7? And he's like, okay, deal. And I'm like, I'll get those 2 females off you as well. And he's like, okay, I'll give it to you for $6,300. So I got an awesome deal.
I felt bad.
Yeah, I mean, you basically made money.
Yeah.
Basically.
I felt bad trying to buy a lavender falsie because I thought it was too much, but maybe never mind.
I love the lavenders.
I mean, the lavenders are expensive.
Oh yeah, they're like,
especially in the U.S. right now.
How much are they?
I would say like 1,500. What do you say that?
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, 15 or 16.
Yeah.
In the UK, you can get them for like 400 or 500.
That's okay, Kyle. We're going to UK.
Right. Well, because the morph was discovered in the UK, both the lavenders and the hypos, the UK hypos, were both obviously from the UK. And so not a lot of people got them over to the US yet to actually produce more. It's only been the last like couple, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the first morphed falsie made it to the US.
Right. Do you guys have any species or morphs that you're planning on getting soon?
Ooh. I'm like really bipolar when it comes to snakes. I've started probably like 3 breeding projects and canceled them all. But this next breeding project, Kyle, I kind of joked around with you. I'm actually thinking it. I'm thinking about breeding falsies because there's only a few morphs, right, Kyle? There's only like hypos and lavenders.
There's only hypo and lavenders that I know of.
Exactly. There's only 2 morphs. or 3 if you're counting the normal. But I think that is something that I'm going to invest into. It might be a little pricey, but that's what I'm thinking.
As much as I really want to get into falsies, because I love falsies, I don't have the space for that many falsies. I really don't.
You can't.
They get big.
Yeah, the females definitely
have an expensive diet.
They're like meter and
6 to 7 feet.
Holy.
So that's like
the males get a lot smaller though.
Yeah, the males. I don't know. I've definitely worked with a 6-foot male.
Have you?
Holy.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, that's the great thing about keeping Antaresia. The biggest female I have is 1.2 meters. I don't know what that is in feet, but and they go like my smallest female is like what 70 centimeters, 80.
Huh.
They're.
I mean, my male right now is well over 4 feet, and he's only 2 years old.
2?
He's not even 2.
Mine's like 6 months. He's 1.5 feet, 2 foot probably. I love mine. Wow. They're so awesome. I can't. Anytime someone asks for a snake, like I don't care if it's your first snake, get a false water cobra. They're so awesome.
Do not get a false water cobra as your first snake.
I'm joking. Don't get that as your first snake. But they're so amazing. Like, oh my goodness, best decision I've ever made.
So you're looking to get into more falsies.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it. I'm trying to work things out. I want to do it with someone. I'd rather not do it on my own. I don't got the brains to figure out how to get other morphs. So, what about you, Kyle? What morphs are you trying to work with?
Well, so I would have had a completely different answer a few days ago if you asked me. Because now I'm looking at gray rat snakes. Actually,
it changes all the milk snake.
What happened to the milk snake idea?
No, I'm still doing milk snakes for sure.
Oh, you're just doing both.
Yeah, and corn snakes,
of course.
naturally.
If you can't choose one, just do them all.
Yep.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, realistically, I'm already basically working with gray rats because I'm more and more confident every single day my Gulf Amic rat snakes are really just gray rats that are a locality.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some morphs of gray rats, like lemon morph, and I think I want to get into that.
That'd be pretty cool.
Not too many for sale in the U.S. right now. It's maybe a dozen or so.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of
a visual lemon.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a recessive. So there's some hats available. There's maybe a dozen from 2 different people that have lemon right now.
Oh, wow.
But they're also not pricey either, realistically. But I feel like for me, it's not a business for me at all. So I don't I never expect to make any money breeding. So I want to breed whatever I think would be cool, whatever other people I think would be cool. So having a snake that's cheaper in price isn't necessarily bad for me at all. I'm all for it. Because then I could produce more, help other people get into that species. And it'll grow, and if it goes up in price, it goes up in price, and that's awesome.
Definitely.
It doesn't. I like working with them anyway, so.
Yeah, and speaking of corns, I can tell that one of them did not eat their rodent last night, and I can definitely smell it right now. I gotta figure out which one didn't eat, though.
I hate when that happens.
I mean, it's a good smell.
Oh, no, it's
unique. It's very unique.
That's the worst smell in the morning, too, when you get up and you're just like...
I smell dead rodents.
All right, which one of you
rotting rodents somewhere in here.
Yeah, I mean, I think what would be worse is a dead animal. That's a different smell.
A dead rodent is a dead animal.
Dead snake.
Oh.
I can tell the difference between the two. If I walk in, I can tell if it's a dead mouse compared to, oh man, a snake is dead.
Oh. You know? Yeah. Oh, what kind of snakes do I want to get into?
Especially working at a sanctuary.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what are the snakes that I want to get into? Obviously, I'm going to stay within the Antaresia species, but there's so many morphs that I want to get into. I mean, I just bought 2 pairs, so 4 more snakes, 2 Rayline stimmies, T+ stimmies, and then I got 2 66 het pied stimmies. So that should be a really exciting project because pied is a new morph in the Stimsons, and there's not a lot of them. So those should be very
really exciting.
Those are coming. I think they're coming mid-May. I've already put them on hold. They're mine. I'm just waiting for the breeder to get some more feeds in them. And then, what are the others? I want to get into the Granite Max, Leopard Max, the Vader line Max, like the super black ones, the melanistic ones. What else? Some locality stimmies, like the Pilbaras. I love the Pilbaras. And then just get into pygmies, because there's no morphs in the pygmies. There's only the pearl, but that's not in Australia. But yeah, I don't have any pygmies yet, so I definitely want to get into just the normal morph pygmies, because they're gorgeous. And the smallest python in the world, so that's pretty cool.
I was about to ask, how big do those get?
60 centimeters, I think.
Wow.
Smallest python in the world. They're gorgeous, though. Like, their reds are just... They're amazing. I love them.
Yeah, I actually don't know a single person
actually jealous.
that owns one.
I'm actually jealous of Australian keepers. You know how much easier it would be on my life if I didn't have to go on Morph Market and sort through 100 or 200, 500 species, and then just end up getting like 6 different species.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, I'll get a mate for them later.
Yeah.
Never do.
It's a breeding project. It's an investment.
Yeah, it's a breeding project. I only have a male, but that's besides the point.
That's the same with the reptile shows.
Like, I mean,
every time I go in, 50% of the time I come out with what I wanted to get, but then also always with something else that I wasn't gonna get. So it's a risk.
I mean, just look at the Taiwanese beauty rat snake, the African house snake, the African file snake. All of those I got and never got a pair for, but I swore they were going to be breeding projects.
Didn't you sell the beauty?
I did. I sold the beauty and the house snake.
Oh, you did sell the house snake. Oh.
Yep.
That's exciting. More. Oh, do you have that? Do you have that leopard gecko still?
Yeah.
What are you doing with him?
Yep. He's just gonna chill there. He's my little friend that hangs out with me when I'm working from home. I got his enclosure right next to my office desk. He just stares at me all day. It's great.
That's awesome. Can never hate on leopard geckos.
Guilt trips me into feeding him multiple times a day.
You know what I did today? I made a leash for my monitor. And I used it.
Oh my god.
It was the best idea I've ever done.
Did you take him for walks?
In the house. I'm a little sketched out to take him outside right now. Because he's not aggressive, but he's so energetic. He just wants to run. Yeah. He doesn't stop. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely.
We used to do that with an Asian water monitor.
Yeah, we do that with ours. Not on a leash, but we take him out.
Take him for walks. We had a leash.
That's awesome.
We had a leash and a full harness to put on him. Just go for a walk.
I love Asian water monitors. They have my heart. Those and alligators. And tegus. But you can't even own those anymore here.
I don't trust tegus.
What? Have you been bit by a tegu?
I almost lost my hand to a tegu.
How?
Yeah. Well, I was feeding the tegus, and I usually worked with the snakes. I didn't work with the lizards, let alone the bigger lizards. And so I'm like, this is like my first time. I'm just like, oh, you're just going to bring this tray in. It's full of food and stuff for them. And you put the tray down, and they come and eat it. All right, cool, whatever. Come back later, take the tray, done. I didn't realize one of them was like almost hiding behind this little bush thing in that enclosure. I went to go put the tray down, and he came out and ripped both sides of my glove off my hand.
What?
As I was pulling basically out of his mouth. And I'm just like, wow, that was close. That was really close.
Man,
and I've seen the tegu bites. I don't want to be a part of that.
Our tegus at the sanctuary are amazing. I love them. They're my babies.
I also feel like I have unjustified reasons to not like specific species. Like carpet pythons, I'll never trust again.
What's your story on a carpet python?
Well, there was this one carpet python. I cleaned his enclosure every day. He had no problem with me. Hung out in the corner. Just let me in there, clean the enclosure. Never really cared that I was going in there to clean. And the one time I'm like, oh, let me just go. He like pooped in the corner a little bit. So let me go grab that. As soon as I go in there, he bites my arm. luckily it was just like a warning strike. He didn't like latch or he didn't wrap or anything.
Yeah.
But obviously I'm bleeding all over the place now, and I look over and a tour is coming through. No. And I'm just like, oh god, this looks like a massacre to these people who have no idea that like this isn't actually that bad. Like
so many people became afraid of snakes that day.
No, I like the tour guide came in and looked at me, and I was just like, no. I like shook my head. No, do not come in here. Way. Go look at the gators or something else. Don't come back in this room yet. And it was too late though. Like half the tour was already in the room, but they were facing the other side. There was like a big enclosure in the way between them and me. You can only kind of see through the glass. And so I just threw down a bunch of towels and stuff on the hole. So I made this like line of blood from the enclosure to the sink. I just threw down a bunch of towels, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'm just gonna hide my arm in the sink now.
That's funny. I actually,
so you guys leave.
I had a story like that, but with a nurse shark. For people that have worked with nurse sharks, they're really docile. They're not gonna. Anyway, I was being really stupid, and I wasn't touring the group, but they were watching me. And we don't normally hand feed the babies, but I was hand feeding one of them, and I had my ring on, and I forgot I had my ring on, and they see shiny stuff. So this nurse shark, one of the other babies, comes up and bites me on the finger, and it doesn't like hurt terribly, but like it just bleeds so much, and it's not a good view for the customers to watch. Yeah. And they were all freaking out, and I was like, oh, it happens all the time, which I've never been bit by a shark before, but say I have. Ava, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at JurassicWildlife.
That's great. And Kyle, what about you? Where can we find you?
You can find me at D20Exotics on Instagram and TikTok. And Bryce, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Prime Exotics with an X. Make sure to follow our podcast Instagram, Reptipod. Thank you guys for listening to this week's episode, and make sure to be tuned for the next one.